TV soap news and spoilers say that in the sultry, neon-lit world of Beyond the Gates, where secrets fester like wounds and betrayal is as common as a summer storm, the saga of Dr. Douglas, Doug Harper has taken a turn so shocking it could only be described as a masterstroke of deception, or a tragic end. As fans of the hit soap opera know, Doug's life has been spiraling into chaos, a vortex of gambling debts, a crumbling marriage, and the sinister shadow of Joey Maldonado, a casino magnate with mafia ties who seems to hold all the cards. But what if Doug, pushed to the brink, orchestrated the ultimate gambit, faking his own death to bring down his nemesis? The question on everyone's lips is whether Doug made a dramatic reappearance at his own funeral to expose Joey's crimes. Let's dive into the heart of this electrifying tale and unravel the truth behind the hearse. The descent of Dr. Doug Harper. Doug Harper, once a respected surgeon with a steady hand and a heart full of ambition, has become a cautionary tale of how quickly fortunes can turn. His gambling addiction, a beast that grew hungrier with every loss, had devoured his savings, his dignity, and nearly his marriage to Vanessa Harper, his wife of 15 years. Their relationship, already strained by late-night arguments and unspoken resentments, teetered on the edge of collapse. Vanessa, a woman of fiery spirit and unyielding pride, had grown weary of Doug's promises to change, his apologies drowned out by the clinking of casino chips and the hum of slot machines. The final straw came when Doug was arrested for unpaid debts, a humiliating spectacle that left him handcuffed in his own driveway as neighbors peeked through their curtains. Vanessa, unwilling to endure another moment of his chaos, fled to Puerto Rico, seeking solace in the sun-soaked beaches and the arms of Joey Maldonado. Joey, with his slick suits and predatory charm, was no ordinary casino owner. His empire was built on blood and secrets, and his declaration that Doug was a walking dead man sent chills through the audience. It was a threat wrapped in velvet, delivered with a smile that promised retribution. While Vanessa danced under the Puerto Rican stars, Doug's world grew darker. Joey, in a cruel twist, ensured Doug overheard a phone call between him and Vanessa. The sound of Joey's voice, smug and intimate, was a dagger to Doug's heart. It drove him deeper into despair, his nights blurring into a haze of whiskey and reckless bets. But then, a glimmer of hope, or so it seemed. At a high-stakes blackjack table, Doug's luck turned. He won a staggering sum, enough to clear his debts and start anew. The crowd cheered, the dealer's eyes narrowed, and Doug's heart raced with triumph. But the victory was fleeting. As he clutched the cash, his vision blurred, the room spun, and a crooked cop named Marcel appeared like a vulture circling a dying animal. "You don't need this where you're going," Marcel sneered, snatching the money from Doug's trembling hands. The next morning, the news hit like a thunderbolt: Doug was dead, killed in a fiery car accident. Vanessa received the call from Jacob, Doug's loyal friend and colleague, as she lounged by a pool in Puerto Rico. Her reaction was a mix of shock, guilt, and something else, relief, perhaps? The audience, however, sensed something amiss. The timing was too perfect, the circumstances too convenient. Could Doug, a man who had always been one step ahead in the operating room, have orchestrated his own demise to escape Joey's grip and expose his crimes? The funeral, a stage for drama. The day of Doug's funeral dawned heavy with tension, the air thick with grief and suspicion. The small chapel in the heart of the fictional town of Crestwood was packed with mourners, their faces a tapestry of sorrow, curiosity, and hidden agendas. Vanessa returned from Puerto Rico, her tan glowing against her black dress, her eyes hidden behind oversized sunglasses. She played the part of the grieving widow, but her stiff posture and clipped responses betrayed a heart divided. Joey, ever the opportunist, stood by her side, his hand resting possessively on her shoulder. His presence was a statement, a claim staked on Vanessa's future, and a warning to anyone who dared to challenge him. Jacob, Doug's confidant, delivered a eulogy that was equal parts tribute and plea. Doug was a man who fought his demons, he said, his voice breaking. He loved fiercely, even when it hurt him. He deserved better than this. His words hung in the air, a subtle accusation that did not go unnoticed. Marcel, the crooked cop, lingered at the back of the chapel, his eyes scanning the crowd as if searching for a ghost. The congregation whispered about the accident, about the debts, about Joey's influence. Rumors swirled that the crash was no accident, that Joey's men had tampered with Doug's car, ensuring he would never collect his winnings or threaten their empire. As the organ played a mournful hymn, the chapel doors creaked open, and a hush fell over the room. Every head turned, expecting perhaps a latecomer or a family member overcome with grief. Instead, a figure stood silhouetted against the sunlight, his face obscured by the brim of a hat. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Vanessa's sunglasses slipped down her nose, revealing wide, disbelieving eyes. Joey's hand tightened on her shoulder, his jaw clenching. Was it possible? Could Doug have defied death itself? The ghost at the feast. The figure stepped forward, and the light revealed his face, Doug Harper, alive and unbroken, his eyes blazing with a fire that had not been seen in months. The chapel erupted in chaos, screams, shouts, and the clatter of hymnals hitting the floor. Vanessa staggered back, her hand clutching her chest as if to keep her heart from escaping. Joey's face was a mask of fury, his composure shattered like glass. Marcel reached for his gun, only to find Doug's gaze locked on him, unflinching and accusing. "I'm not dead," Doug declared, his voice steady despite the tremor in his hands. "But I've been to hell, and I'm here to drag the devil back with me." The words were a bombshell, and the congregation hung on his every syllable. He pointed at Joey, his finger a weapon of truth. "This man," he said, "thought he could bury me. He thought he could take my wife, my money, my life. But I'm not that easy to kill." What followed was a revelation that could only be described as operatic. Doug, it turned out, had suspected Joey's plan to eliminate him after the blackjack win. The money was a trap, laced with a slow-acting sedative slipped into his drink by one of Joey's lackeys. When Doug's vision blurred and Marcel seized the cash, Doug realized he was marked for death. In a desperate bid for survival, he staged the car accident, using his medical knowledge to create a convincing scene, a stolen corpse from the morgue, a wrecked car, and a fire to obscure the truth. He had vanished into the shadows, watching and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. At the funeral, Doug produced evidence that left no room for doubt. Hidden cameras in Joey's casino had captured Marcel's dealings with the mafia boss, including orders to take care of Doug. Audio recordings revealed Joey's boasts about controlling Vanessa, about using her to torment Doug into submission. And then, the coup de grace, a ledger detailing Joey's illegal operations, smuggled out by a disgruntled employee who had once been loyal to Doug. The congregation, now a jury, listened in stunned silence as Doug laid bare Joey's empire of deceit. The fallout. Vanessa's reaction was a study in conflict. She wept, but whether for Doug's survival, her own betrayal, or the loss of her fantasy with Joey was unclear. She reached for Doug, but he stepped back, his eyes cold. "You made your choice," he said, and the words cut deeper than any knife. Vanessa fled the chapel, her sobs echoing in the silence. Joey, cornered and exposed, tried to brazen it out. "You can't prove anything," he snarled, but the tide had turned. Marcel, sensing the noose tightening, turned on his boss, offering to testify in exchange for leniency. The police, alerted by Jacob, arrived to arrest Joey, who was led away in handcuffs, his empire crumbling with every step. But the story didn't end with Joey's downfall. Doug, though victorious, was a changed man. The weight of his ordeal had left scars that no triumph could erase. He left Crestwood that night, vowing to start over somewhere far from the casinos and the ghosts of his past. Vanessa, broken and alone, faced a future of reckoning with her choices. And the town of Crestwood, forever altered by the spectacle, buzzed with the legend of the man who came back from the dead. A soap opera masterpiece. The episode, titled Resurrection at Dawn, was a tour de force for Beyond the Gates. Fans took to social media, their posts ablaze with reactions to Doug's dramatic return. "I knew he wasn't dead," one viewer tweeted, while another wrote, "Vanessa's face when Doug walked in, Emmy-worthy." The show's writers had crafted a narrative that blended suspense, betrayal, and redemption, keeping viewers on the edge of their seats. Did Doug's plan work? Unequivocally, yes. He exposed Joey, reclaimed his dignity, and walked away a free man. But at what cost? The marriage he once cherished was in ashes, and his trust in those around him was shattered. As Beyond the Gates continues, the question remains, what's next for Doug Harper? Will he find peace, or will new shadows emerge to haunt him? Our TV channel Soap News and Spoilers is the place for those who want to know how the Salem story goes, as well as great Beyond the Gates updates and news, so subscribe to our channel to get what you want. Bye-bye.